Hi all. In this video, let's discuss something more about the linked hash map. In the previous video, we have discussed about hash map. The difference between the hash map and the linked hash map in the sense, in the linked hash map that will maintain the data according to the order that you have entered into the linked hash map. So, as we discussed earlier as well, so the map which contains keys and values. In the keys, that shouldn't be duplicate, but that will allow duplicate values. So from this point onwards, let's see how we can create object of the linked hash map and how we can get them utilized within our Java code, and what are the respective functionalities that you can find which is related to the linked hash map. In this example, let's see how we can instantiate a linked hash map and how we can create an object using linked hash map. And in this example, I'm going to store the student marks into a linked hash map. So here, first of all, I have to create an object of a linked hash map. In that case, I'm going to create a new linked hash map. At the time, the Java util linked hash map has to be imported. Here I'm going to assign this to an object variable like linked hash map student marks. So in this example, I'm going to store the respective marks of the students in front of their individual names. At the time, as I mentioned earlier, this linked hash map should be a key value pair. The key should be the student name at the time. That should be a string value. And the value should be an integer. Okay, this is how we can create an object of a linked hash map. Okay, now let's see how we can insert values to this linked hash map. At that time, so inserting values to the linked hash map. Student marks. There is a method called put. This is somewhat same as how we have handled the hash map. Basically, the linked hash map and the hash map both are hash maps. The difference between the hash map and the map is in the linked hash map that will maintain an order. So the put, the value of the key, the first value should be, let's say mark, value of the that means mark of the person called Mark. Let's say that is 50. Student marks put we take another person called Kevin. Value of his mark should be 40. Likewise, we can enter whatever the number of records that you want. Let's we change these keys and values. So let's we take Tom. Steve 20. Likewise, you can enter as much as the values that you want to enter into this linked hash map. Now let's see how we can print these values. By that time, we can go for a system.out.println. Student marks. If we put the variable name like this, that will give the entire series of values that we have entered to this linked hash map by preserving the order of that we have entered into this linked hash map. Let me try with this piece of code by executing these things. Yeah. So let me execute this one and see the console of this one. See, this is the output of this one. So the that will retrieve and print the value for us according to the order. So the mark of the mark is 50. The second value is Kevin, that is 40. Third value is Tom. Fourth value is Steve. See, that will maintain the order and that will give the entire series of the values that we have entered into this linked hash map. Okay. Now let's just see how we can get the values based on the key. The values using a key. I'm going to print that values. I just wanted to get the value of the Kevin. The mark of Kevin is student marks. By this time we have to use the keyword called get. Then after that we have to give the exact key of the student. That is, within the brackets you have to give the name of that student, Kevin. Let me execute this. See, now that will retrieve the value for the Kevin. Kevin's mark is 40. Okay, as the next exercise, let's see how we can remove one of the values that we have already entered into this linked hash map. I want to remove this entry. key value pair from this linked hash map. Tom's value I need to remove. Removing value from linked hash map. Student marks. By this time you have to use the keyword called remove. Here you have to specify the value of the key. That means Tom. Why? Because I want to remove the entire record which is related to Tom. Now that will remove the value, this one. After that, if we execute this part again, that means if you see the entire records which is existing in the linked hash map, in the sense, let's see what would be the outcome of this one. See, initially that is having 4 values, and after removing the Tom's value, we are going to print an entire series of these values. By that time the value for the Tom have been removed. The Tom's value is not there. That is how we can remove the value from a linked hash map. Okay. As the next attempt, let's see how we can iterate through this linked hash map. By this time, I'm going to use a for loop here. Here, you have to mention this series of values at the time. Student marks entry set. Entry set. This is the method that you have to use. By this, using this one, that will retrieve all the values which is entered to this linked hash map one by one. Here we have to assign this value to a variable. At that time, the entry set will retrieve values with the data type called entry. That will have the type of entry. By this time, entry. This is how you have to specify that data type. The value of the key should be string, and the value of the value should be integer. These are the data types that you have to mention, and the variable name, marks, colon, map. You have to import the Java util map package as well. So this is how you can iterate through a linked hash map that will retrieve all the data one by one using this one, and that will assign that to the particular variable. Here, if we print that individual value one by one, marks. Here, if you want to print the key, you have to use that get key method, and the respective value for that key should be marks get value. In this statement, that will print the individual key and the value for each and every record of this linked hash map. Let me execute this piece of code as well. So see, first value Mark, and the respective mark of that the person called Mark is 50, and the second student is Kevin, his mark is 40, his fourth student 20. The value of Tom is not there. Why? Because we have already removed the mark of the Tom. This is how you can iterate through the linked hash map. Understood? Okay. Now there is another mechanism where we can check whether that particular value is exist in this linked hash map or not. So how we can do that? Check the availability of the linked hash map. So if we check the availability like this, student marks contains key. Let's see, check whether that Kevin's record is there or not. If this record is available, that will print this statement. Why? Because in this entire statement that will retrieve a Boolean value. If it is true, that will print this one, otherwise that will not print this statement. So let me execute this part as well. Kevin. Let's see why this is not printed properly. If student content value, sorry, here I'm going to check the key, not the value. See, now it is working. Why? Because I'm just checking that value for this key is available or not. Now it is available. That is how we can check the availability of a value of a linked hash map. Next, let's see how we can get the size of the linked hash map. Here also I'm going to print that size of that entire hash map. Ideally the size of the hash map should be 3. Why? Because one value is already been removed. So let's see how we can do that. Student marks get, sorry, size. Okay. See, now it is giving the exact size of the linked hash map. We are having 3 records. Now it's showing the 3 as the size of the linked hash map. So that is how we can handle the linked hash map and how we can manipulate the data within the linked hash map. Yeah, so that is how we can use the linked hash map within the Java code. So in that case, this is how we can store the data, and this is how we can print the entire series of the linked hash map, and how we can remove the values from the linked hash map, and how we can iterate through the linked hash map and get in the integer values one by one, and how we can check the availability using the contents key keyword, and how we can get the size of the entire linked hash map kind of things. That's all that I'm going to discuss underneath with this video. Thank you for watching this video.